Hello everyone, my name is Trevor Barnes and welcome to Alley Ridge. Today I wanted to talk about Apple's T2 chip. If you don't know, this is one of the chips that are in some of the new Macs, such as the iMac Pro, the new Mac Mini, the new MacBook Air, as well as new MacBook Pros, pretty much any Mac from 2018 or newer. The T2 chip is designed to be a chip that enhances security, essentially being a bridge between hardware and the software for security. For example, Touch ID and things like that on some of the new MacBooks. And it gives other improvements too, like signal processing for the FaceTime camera, giving things like improved exposure and face detection and things like that. And there's a lot more. And whatever isn't available today doesn't mean Apple can't roll out updates in the future. They advertise this chip as a feature, as an enhancement to older MacBooks that don't have that, such as mine right here, my 2013 MacBook Pro. But is this T2 chip really that good? Is it really a feature, or is it something we should be afraid of? That is the heart and soul of what I want to talk about today. So I've been interested in the new Mac Mini since they were announced a few months back. For a while now, I've been saying that my next Mac very much might be a Mac Mini, because I love the fact they have 10 gigabit Ethernet, they're small, they got decent power for what they are, and they're starting in not an unreasonable price. That was until I was watching a Linus Tech Tips video the other day and discovered something that I did not know anything about, nor have I heard a lot of people talk about.
So the, let's call them rumors, about Apple blocking third-party operating systems from the Mac Mini and other T2 chip-enabled devices turns out to be false, but only from a literal standpoint. Thanks to the T2 chip, Linux isn't blocked from booting, only from installing. So if you fire it up into recovery mode and disable secure boot, you can still boot Linux, if you're into that, even with the T2 chip, but without access to the internal storage.
Did I hear that correctly? I can't put Linux on my machine that I've just paid a crap ton of money for? Needless to say, Apple is starting to get a little controlling, if they haven't been already. Apple's always been controlling, but this is a bit ridiculous. With Apple's T2 chip, they are restricting what operating systems can be installed on their devices. Now, the information about this can be a little tricky when researching, because I was looking into this a bit further, trying to figure out definitively, can you put Linux on a new Mac that has the T2 chip? And people's terminology in these articles are strange, saying, yes, you can boot from Linux. But that wasn't exactly the question. I'm sure if you turn off all the security parameters, you can boot like a USB version of Linux. But can you install it on your computer? I can't find a straightforward answer. The most straightforward answer was from that Linus Tech Tips video, which was no. And the reason being is because the SSD and the T2 chip go hand in hand together. Because of that extra security, the Linux operating system during the installation process will not see the built-in SSD on the computer. I'm not exactly sure where this stands with Windows. I'm assuming Boot Camp still exists on these computers, so I'm assuming through Boot Camp you are still able to install like Windows as a third-party operating system. But no Linux, which to me is a big deal. Now, I will say this in defense of Apple. There probably aren't a lot of people that are going to buy a MacBook or any Apple device and put Linux on it. That's probably true. However, with that being said, Apple products are still very nice built computers. Even if I were to decide to go back to Windows as my primary operating system, that isn't to say I would go ahead and buy a new computer. I'd probably just put Windows on my MacBook. Or if I decide to go Linux full-time again, which I've done before, I might just want to put Linux on here. It's a nice machine. Some people argue that, but I love my MacBook. I love the trackpad. I love the display. These are things I love in my MacBook. As we talked about in our Mac versus Windows versus Linux series a couple weeks ago, Linux is taken off. Linux is doing better and better and better. And the fact that you won't be able to put that on your new MacBook, that could be damaging for the future. Maybe not today, but maybe tomorrow. And again, probably rare for Apple users to really care about this, but it was something that struck me as being a bit controlling from Apple. And though I'm already willingly part of an ecosystem that is controlling and kind of does demand things from me, this is a line that I don't really want to cross. I want to be able to put whatever operating system I want on my device, especially when you're spending most likely $1,000+ if not thousands of dollars. Now, as of right now, we have no Apple products in the studio with a T2 chip to test this. I do want to do this and test a little bit more to double check everything. Again, it's very hard to find information out there. That may change in the upcoming weeks, so if that's the case, we will kind of revisit this to double check if anything's different than what I'm talking about now. But the moral of this story is to be educated before you buy. The reason I wanted to make this video was for no other reason than to educate someone that may not know this before buying the product. I almost bought a Mac Mini and didn't know this myself. It's something that I may not want to buy now because of this. Actually, I'm looking at building a Hackintosh equivalent that might be better than the Mac Mini, because now I'm just very disappointed about this. At least on my Hackintosh, I can put whatever operating system I potentially want. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this will spark a little bit of discussion in the comments below. I'm curious to see what you guys think. If anything changes about this, because these type of things, there's always software getting updated. There's, again, very little information about that. So I just wanted to spread that and put some asterisks out there too. I can't say what I've said is 100% confirmed, but I can say it's something we should definitely look more into as a tech community here online. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, so long.